Здравствуйте. Мы сегодня хотим поговорить про...
Hello. Today we would like to speak about the network security. Many foreign producers left our market and are interested in the question of many who are listening to us. What's left here and what should be done? I'm Denis Bitropkov. I'm responsible in Positive Technologies for development of products in network security, and I'm joined by my colleagues from the same market of network security.
Друг за другом.
Please introduce yourself.
Всем привет, меня зовут Павел Красилев.
Hello, I'm Pavel Krasilov from Security Code Company. I'm involved in promotion of products, Continent. Hello, Ivan Chernov, UserGate, Development Manager. UserGate is the oldest companies in Russia in this area. Hello, Barinov Alexander, Director in Products of Network Security from Rostic Telecom Solo.
Спасибо, что представились.
Thank you very much for introducing yourself. Hello once again. The market situation is very transparent. We know who was in the market. There were American manufacturers, Israeli manufacturers, and right now some Chinese manufacturers, and then we have some Russian manufacturers. So what is your opinion about the situation? Who stayed in the market and what should we expect in the future? Okay.
Игроков с текущей
All the current players
безопасности можно разделить.
from the network security can be divided into four levels. The first level, it's me and Vanya, the companies which are currently actively sell those solutions which are available right now. The second level are the companies which have NDFL, which are certified, but they are more niche related in SCADA or medium and small businesses, and they don't want to leave it. Or maybe in some regional
Третий эшелон — это компания,
representation. The third level are companies who started development last year or have activated development last year. And the fourth level are foreign players who have not left or who are coming, like Checkpoint, Xang4, Huawei, those companies which are available in the market, but
которые крупные заказчики относятся
who
с очень большой осторожностью.
are perceived very carefully by big clients. And there are clients who don't have firewalls at all. No, we don't have clients like that. I did see companies like that, unfortunately. Well, they just don't know. Firewalls are available everywhere, but you should understand that
В России
the fact
подают
that in Russia,
это не означает, что они не используются. Они продолжают.
it doesn't mean that they don't use it. Yes, they use them, but they use them not as actively. Well, thank you for dividing them into four classes. Can you add some more classes?
Какой процент
And maybe what
классов?
percentage ratio do you see between those classes? I don't like to divide by classes. However,
Павла, безусловно, есть.
Pavel does have some wisdom in his statement. I would like to speak about your phrase. You said that market is transparent, but market stopped being transparent since last year due to big number of these shadow installations,
Эксплуатация
continuation of exploitation of foreign devices which have been purchased
способами через там
by some shadow ways, gray suppliers, etc., because they're updating them somehow and update their signatures. So it doesn't happen that in one day that, they stood up and left and leaving, the burnt field after them. But speaking about the percentage ratio, well, if you're not going to go into details, analytics and statistics,
80% были иностранцы.
80% were foreign companies and 20 were Russian. But instead of 80% leaving, I would say about 30% of them left. It's a lot, but it's not deadly. Half of them still are using foreign products. And, I cannot say that we are waiting for guests from China. No, it's not true.
Китайцы все.
Because well-known Chinese companies are living or are subject to some risks. Some small niche players are coming, those that we can find inside of Russia. So the situation is like that. The market has changed and the process has not completed. Let's speak about clients. Your vision. I would add to what Pavel has split into four classes. Class number 5 involves startups. For example, if you watch Skolkovo,
Счетное количество, есть, да, и
well, there is a certain amount of them, and I have seen a couple of stories when next generation firewalls, they try to make them,
да, в квадрате, в кубе,
yeah,
для чистоты.
in a square, in a cube, but for the purity of the experiment, for the purity of the analysis, I would add this category number 5, startups.
Ну, тогда мы все перечислили. Давайте тогда...
Well, we have listed everything.
Еще по проценту.
You also asked us about the percentage ratio. of their presence. Yes, I do have certain statistics. I see it in the following way. Approximately 60% of the market is level number one. Level number two, it's 20% of the market. And
Процентов 20 выделяю, но не видим.
about 20% I give for the shadow part of the market, which was purchased through a lot of different interesting gray schemes.
У нас красивым словом не будем говорить.
We have a beautiful word which we're not going to use.
Кто нас слушает,
Okay, friends, everybody who's listening to us, I think you have certain understanding of what you need for your protection. And you also communicate with many clients. You, as people being a long time in the market, you just came to the market. We are doing our firewall, and I would like to invite you at 5 p.m. and we're going to show you what works already.
очень нравится.
And
Соответственно,
I really like it.
обсудим,
So let's discuss
клиенты.
what is given to us by our clients. Are they happy by what is given to them? Maybe they want some additional functions. So left to right. Who's going to be the first one?
Я, да.
Okay, I'm going to be the first one. Honestly,
Директором по продуктам, да,
being the product director,
ходить по клиентам. И спрашивать
one of my objectives is to visit clients, ask them questions, what is available out there.
на классы.
But if you will try to divide it by classes,
3 класса бы точно бы обозначил, да.
I would define 3 classes. The first one are those who are hiding and using the old means of defense.
Где-то там, так сказать, раздобыли подписки.
Maybe they have acquired some signatures, subscriptions, and they continue to extend them.
Под классику. У кого-то были контракты многолетние.
Some had many years of contracts, and irrespectively to the fact that vendors are leaving,
Оставляя вот эти контракты, да, не давая возможности.
some vendors have left
На самом деле,
without any possibility of prolonging the contracts. And from my point of view, there is a number of those.
Говорят, у нас все есть, берите.
мне видится ответ.
Well, I see the following answer. It's a big and heavy process. The bigger the company is, the longer they use this product, this software in a specific place in the infrastructure, the more difficult it is for them to replace it. It was difficult previously, but right now it's even more difficult. But in our experience that we have got, we can see that there is a deadline,
Июня заканчивается вот это вот
10th of June.
лицензия,
It's the end of the prolonged license, and you can do whatever you want, but you have to be able to replace it.
мне кажется, над всеми вот я может
I think
но это 20
maybe I'm looking ahead, but this is the year 2025.
для всех и
It's the deadline for everybody, and all the companies, they write immigration plans,
даже те, кто затаился. Да.
and even those who are hiding.
Я отвечу с позиции вендора с самой широкой инсталляционной базой на сегодняшний день.
The wide installation base, Pavel has confirmed yesterday.
Вот. Но на самом деле
However,
13 лет разработки,
13 years of development, experimentation, some collection and problems shows a very simple picture.
и говоришь, вот у меня
When you come to the client and he says, well, I'm going to show this to you, and the client gives you some desires and requirements to you, which is logical.
и что изменилось?
And what has changed? Which clients has arrived since the last year? A big bloody enterprise has arrived, which didn't look at the possibility of replacing usual solution, but they think that it's time. And these big clients, they came to us in a big number
Требованиями, с
with new requirements.
которыми не так часто сталкивались, потому что мы
We didn't see those requirements previously because we worked with different group of clients.
не так сильно, потому что не так много
Maybe we didn't look at their significance because we didn't see a lot of requests for the functions. So the clients come to us and they tell us we need the same way as it was before and tomorrow.
Какие требования?
Но это большие сложные сети, то есть это какая-то там сетевая функциональность.
It's a network functionality,
Там
routing,
у вас настраивали, потому что раньше
how the VPN should be tuned up,
15, и то не всем хватает, потому что нужно настраивать там разные алгоритмы, разные группы.
because we need to build different algorithms, etc., etc. So
Сложно
people are asking for granulated settings
по вот этому без...
in order to simplify their objectives and this painless
И, соответственно,
finding of devices in their network. Therefore,
пришли с большими
we figured it out that they came with big requirements. It has influenced the roadmap and development of those cases that I've been speaking about. Big number of cases of implementation. They help us to bring it to the appearance that is expected by the client. So right now you have learned what the client needs, and then you are improving this. Once again,
сказать, если бы мы только в прошлом году начали продаваться, но
last year we just started selling, but we are selling many years before that, and we've learned about the new category of clients, we've learned about the new requirements and for the new market. But it's not a secret because we have received a big number of fintech companies, non-commercial organizations, commercial organizations. Everything under the word fin came to us in a big volume and have a lot of different requirements.
Понимаешь, что если
Well, I understand that if the client came to you and he says, 81st version has this function, can you install this function in version number 5 from their 81st version? Well, it's a good phrase, but it's a good that we have a version number 7 and many of those things are available. So the final phrase is,
нельзя перейти
it's impossible to move one to what? You know, from checkpoint to FATINET. Physically, it's impossible. Everybody has architecture, sets of functionalities, etc. So when you want to switch from something foreign to something Russian, you should remember that there is no possibility of one-to-one transition.
выясняем.
Plan, prepare, learn, etc.
Я бы добавил тут, ну, я бы первый момент уточнил, это то, что
Well, the first moment is that clients,
планируют переход, там есть два момента.
when they plan the transition, the first one is a functional disparity between what was previously and what is available right now. And the second one is some internal administrative problem that has to be overcome in order for the product to be involved. It's not that clients are so bad and they don't want to do anything, but they need a lot of time to get ready out of what we hear functionally wise. These are networks, these are virtual routers and firewalls to make several out of one firewalls. This is centralized management, remote access
Многофакторная
with the reinforcement, multi-factor authentication with radius, etc.
для того, чтобы лучше было
Monitoring
происходит. Это
in
защита.
order to understand what happens. Protection channel, dynamic routing inside of the network. It's obviously bandwidth capacity
Зачем нужен фаервол? Это
and mechanisms why the firewall is needed.
поиск вредоносного
Search for the malicious software and the control of the users in the internet. And the better it was done by the vendor,
пользователи это ощущают,
the
тем
less users feel it, the higher is the probability that vendor
Ну, кстати,
will go to the selection.
заказчиков, я сам вендор уже давно, то есть в ABM
Well, I'm playing the role as a vendor
окей, IPS был только теперь
in HP, IPS. I used to work.
партнеру. И сейчас вот мы
And right now we have conducted customer development and we've been asking what people want.
мое понимание рынка,
And my understanding of the market is that most of the buyers, the target audience, are networking people. So when you talk to them and they have CCIE, for example, and they understand the routing, you offer them a tank and they say, what about the radio? How does it work? You say, well, you can shoot here. And they say, wait.
нюанс, что
Yeah, there is a certain peculiarity.
от других
The
средств
firewall is different from other means of protection because it's located on the connection of security and networking infrastructure, as the container protection, which is located on connection of application of the AppSec and protection of this infrastructure. That's why
если
it is very complicated. So if you bet only on the security mechanisms without ergonomics, without integration of the network infrastructure, etc., then you'll have a lot of big problems. You know, there's another requirement that could be.
я хочу BGP full.
Client says, I want to have BGP full view. I say in the firewall, said, why not?
он привык, что в SRX это возможно, в Juniper это возможно. То есть надо понимать, что у
So
заказчика
you have to understand that client,
помимо внутреннего
in addition to the internal appetite, has different levels of maturity and different level of maturity on the team who is responsible for network infrastructure and information security team.
надо учитывать.
And this is also has to be taken in consideration. This also influences the requirements given to the firewalls.
Кейсом поделюсь, значит.
Well, I will share the anti-case.
Нам,
I remember we had a specification from a very big player
1000 площадок.
who had like 1,000 locations, and he did the following thing. He sent specifications of Fortinet which was provided to Fortinet 2 months before Fortinet left Russia. We looked at the specifications. It had 180 features. In our roadmap, we had like 100 out of them
До 30-го,
До
да?
30.
until the year 2030. Yeah.
На сегодня есть там 15.
Today, only 15 available out of them.
Мы такие, ну вот так ситуация.
We're saying to them, well, this is the situation. But I understand the client sent it to everybody available in the market out of 3 segments in the market.
Лучше чуть-чуть. Из 180 65 фич есть.
It has received 65 features out of 185.
Давайте
Dead end.
посидим. Сели, посидели.
I said, okay, let's meet, let's see it.
Нужно прям вот
But there's a speech. There's 3 of them.
нужны. Вот
There are 3 features which are available. It's not a figure of speech, but there are 3 features.
Что заказчикам надо просить у России?
What client should request for
Сегодня вам помогут.
firewalls? Which features will help you to increase the level of your infrastructure protection?
Меряем. То есть первое, что нужно,
We measure the first thing that is needed, centralized control and optimization of admin work.
чем больше
It's feature number 1. The bigger is the client, the higher is the level of this feature. The second one is the traffic analysis, control of applications, and filtration of URL addresses. Number 3,
заказчиков и защита от вторжений. Это вот, наверное,
protection from intrusion. These are number 3. And moment number 4 is remote access. And
Антивирус вместе.
you're speaking about IPS or antivirus. I'm speaking about the malicious code protection, because when you go to network traffic, it doesn't matter whether you have an exploit in your pipe or the malicious file, or even without fileless.
она
Well, attack without a file,
прилетает
it becomes a fileless when it comes to the desktop, to the ARM, to the endpoint. But while it's flying in the network, there is a certain signature there.
Кейс Александра, на самом деле,
About Alexander's case,
что вот
I like this story.
у зарубежников сделайте нам точно так же. Я тут всегда
We also been requested, can you do it as foreign features? Well, usually ask them to approach these functions not from the point of view of functionality as is, as was, and as you got used to, but from the point of view of, okay, let's move forward. Which tasks you want to solve by these functions? What would you like to get? Why do you think about changing the firewall, and what do you expect from it?
в итоге 180
It's wonderful that in the result, 180 went down to 3.
конкретно вот так же, начинаешь уточнять, для чего это нужно, выясняется, что можно сделать по-другому.
Then you figure out that it can be done differently, and these stories are operational.
Помогает заказчикам решить задачи, когда мы на них смотрим.
It helps to solve these problems when you look in the context of functionality. This is a good story. And I would like to add here, the thing is that
то есть, когда ты говоришь про firewall,
when you speak about the firewall, you should understand that this is a tool. And this tool does not exist in the vacuum.
фич, это наличие этих 180 фич
Availability of these 180 functions
вытащить
can help you to change one product and install another product without any problems. If you have different features, then client has additional work related with changing of networking infrastructure. And many clients which are not ready to change, this is related to the fact that network infrastructure will have to be changed. But in my case,
Еще больше.
client used Microtics.
Ну, и все-таки давайте к
That was a strange situation. But let's go back to features.
Знаете, в чем еще подвох?
You know where the problem is? When somebody comes and asks for some specific feature.
Иван, ты подметил, что
Ivan has said it properly that honestly, you should ask what you want to get in result.
так, Discovery, да, тоже, который
For
тоже
example, we have this PT network attack discovery,
запросом,
and many people come with a request like,
у нас все
can you do it like NetSlow? Yes, we can have this NetSlow for other purposes.
обычно от пресейлов, которые говорят,
And usually it comes from pre-sales. They say, they are asking NetFlow, but did you ask them what for? We didn't ask them for. Okay, go back, ask why they need it, because this can be solved differently. So, colleagues,
правильный был месседж, да, вот
the proper message was that, like, I work with foreign vendors. I've been telling about how should you speak to different vendors.
а мы
We are not selling products, but we are telling how can you differently approach these processes. And I see more successful solution here.
мы вот
As an example,
домены все. Ну там и в иностранном
we detect all the domains, foreign vendors, Russian vendors,
интернете 3-5 минут.
but these domains which live in the internet for 3-5 minutes, all the foreign domains detect them, but in positive we also tell them which type of malicious code is being used by this address.
Всех мировых вендоров, а заказчики еще не в курсе. Вот мы просто
And clients know nothing about it. So what we do here in this studio, we tell them, okay, guys, we have very cool programmers, we have very cool hackers, we have very cool researchers,
всех.
and we are better than everybody from the point of view of detection of the hackers.
Это очень классная история, потому что
It's a good story
я хвалюсь нашими там
because I'm always happy about our schematechnics and architects because Russian developers, we heard that they do nothing.
починили. На самом деле от этого
But honestly speaking, we have to get away from this stereotype.
могу сказать, мы
And for my company, Ethergate, I would like to say that we've been collecting a team of schematechnics, architects, and designers, the hardware people, cool hardware people. And these are genius people. They collect devices, they design those devices. And understand, you can approach them, you can look at this hardware piece, which gives 160 gigabit per second. This story that in Russia we have no technology, it should go.
Я надеюсь, мы все с вами этой истории посодействуем. Потому что
And I hope we contribute to this story because the technologies are present in Russia. Obviously, not as much as we would like to, but we can clearly see here, we can discuss it. Please come, you will be surprised by the technologies we have. So, about the technologies, I would like our listeners to get a real good understanding.
С чем к нам
We as developers, what do we have to work with? What can you come with? For example, we will tell about this at 17 hard,
зрители
and we have a capability.
такие-то. То есть
For example, if you have some kind of
вещи, которые
request, you can go to us and you will be able to do this and this, that and that in your tools and your products.
большими мазками желать. Давайте так сделаем.
And we will give you some broad strokes.
Первый момент,
Okay, we will start with you.
чем мы отличаемся.
First point, how are we different from our competition? We have a centralized system which we developed for years. We started it 20 years ago, and we had this ideology of smart center and stupid end devices. And then we defined it as software-defined network. Next, we have VPN. We work with federal networks, and for 20 years, we've had quite a lot of experience. And finally, point number 3, it's an extended application.
Мы
Currently, in our engine, we have about 7,000 signatures, which define the protocol and application and the parameters of the application and so on. And that's the biggest metric on the Russian market. We give the most transparency of the traffic, and including in the cases where we need, without the decryption of the traffic, to understand what happens there. Okay, so let's give 3 points each.
тему, у кого больше
Sure, I can argue who has more apps, but we better leave it to some testing. It's true, it's more about the historical legacy,
мощная работа.
and in terms of legacy, we had very good experience. We had great work.
В общем, у нас
Yes.
технически мощная прокся, которая
We had very good proxy, which can work with the traffic. It can
доносы. У нас очень клевый экспертный
maintain what are the fraudulent activities in the traffic. We have thousands of signatures for phishing attacks, and we can measure it very well. Second, we have a really good hardware,
единственный в стране,
and we are the only ones in the country who
то есть, как правило, все ограничивают.
can use not just hardware, but really powerful hardware. And we have the smallest model, we have the largest.
Там плисы,
It's 160 gigabyte per second. It has very good bandwidth. And finally, point number 3, we have a system. We do not have a mono product. We are working with the line.
там лок-анализатор. Вот вам тут
You have an analyzer block. You have a centralized control. It's also very important. We have a system of centralized control, obviously. We have host agents and so on. So we provide the work with the traffic, we provide security notifications, hardware, and ecosystem. And obviously we can see that we have some experience talking about these points. Next participant. Yes. Point number 1. I would like to say that we have
тяжелый
a long-standing tradition to withstand
из истоков
loads, which goes back to our DRP solution,
Сбербанк,
which works in Sberbank,
наверное, самый крупный нагрузки.
and probably those
Этот опыт
peak loads in the
нагруженных историй мы вот сейчас, так сказать, приземляем
and currently
Наш НГФВ.
We are working it in our firmware. Second point,
Тоже можно сказать, как юзергейт
like UserGate,
в проксе.
we are working in proxy, have about 10 years of experience, and working in proxy.
Как мы
And I'll actually speak about the idea, how do we got to the NDFV. I will speak about it in
вот, мы
1440.
как бы понимаем,
So we made a small step
а напилите вот такую фичу к вашей проксе.
and we said, okay, add this feature to our proxy. And we realized that this is closer to NDFL. And
Толчок. Вот,
it gave an impetus to the development of our technology. And finally, point number 3, it's about transparency. We have a big commercial data center, and based on this, we create
центр
a center
об атаках.
of knowledge about the threats, about cyber attacks, let's go like this.
Центр знаний, да,
And this knowledge center
там сотен огромных.
takes information from hundreds and thousands of clients, including the government clients. What happens there, it takes information from them daily, and it will become the foundation for at least VPS with its signature. Yes, and I would like to add point number 4.
Информационная база у нас
We have the biggest installation service and we have the most experience, we had the most troubles, and we were able to cope with it. So if somebody has any problems, we probably have already solved the problem. Okay, let's delve into firewalls a little bit. First thing which I saw, because I think the first time I had firewall in 1998. And in my understanding, the first point a customer needs is stability. And for example, we aim in our service to have stability
на многих типах трафика.
for high speeds for different traffics.
Важно, какой тип трафика, бывает сложный,
Doesn't matter what kind of traffic, it can be complex traffic and the simple traffic.
вообще транзакция. На
It can be
большинстве
it can be short transaction.
достигаем больших
We test for multiple and different types of traffic. We achieve
и опыт работы с
high speeds.
пятинетворка так
Our experience, how did we achieve it? We will speak about our discovery, speak about experience. So let's
осталось несколько минут.
go, well, we have a few minutes left. Just to conclude,
Что вы видите?
about future.
Придут,
What's your vision?
например,
What will come to the market?
уйдут ли на
Some other services, some other companies, will some foreign companies leave the market? What do you think will happen?
Сейчас увидим через... То есть вот сейчас
Well,
прошлый
currently,
появился вот этот вот третий.
the last year, we had the third echelon of players who start and do some things really, really fast. And we can see massive sales.
Нишу в
The
примерно
players who left the market, they left about 15 billion US dollars niche. And this niche will be filled by different players. And for the next 3-4 years, we will see a great diversity. Then we'll have a process of consolidation, and only the fittest will survive.
иностранные
Then surely we will have some foreign players in some niches, maybe not critical, and they will probably stay there because the trust was undermined. And I do not think that in the current geopolitical condition, it's possible to restore it. Yes, we will have the recording, so we will double check it in 3 years.
с тем, то, что
I do agree with
с оценкой
well,
рынка, но
I
я
do not agree with the market evaluation, but I do agree that the quantity of players will decrease. Not everybody will survive.
людей,
And currently, I think there are 21 players who say that 25 say this. But the market,
в любом случае
but the market is limited.
всем не хватит.
The market is finite, and
Думаю, мы увидим
it will not be enough for everybody. So some will fall off. So in the
ну, до 10 точно, может даже
short to maybe midterm horizon, about 5 to 10 years, we will see the change in the market. We will see different players, and somebody would have their own features. Maybe somebody would go more into the hardware, some would go into the software, but obviously the market will decide. They'll select what they will choose. Yes, the 21, it's the number which we calculated based on the evaluation of 15,
такой не
a
то,
little bit more, maybe a little bit less.
для всех вот
It's not like a caution, but it's just a notion that
серьезно.
this money will not be enough for all the players. But on a serious note, there is a global trend for monopolization. It doesn't really exist. And I believe that in the next 3 to 4 years, from all this 2025
До финала дойдет, ну, 4.
players will maybe 4 or 5 reach the final stage. Unfortunately, that's the reality.
Иностранные
Yes, and foreign players will leave our market. Oh, obviously, we will see it in a few years. We have just 1 minute, and we can see 2025 market about 120 billion rubles, and we create a product for the international market too. So we take a look both at Russia and other countries. So that's why it's very important. And we actually have countries which want our product.
Очень экспертная.
We had a recent business trip to Saudi Arabia. They are very interested in our product. They are eager to listen to. They really want Russian products. They really like Russian products. So I would like you to pay attention that in the future, Russian information
Супер, потому что мы, во-первых, тренируем
has
продавить
Russian information security has really good
экспертизу прям по всему миру.
future because
Коллеги, пользуйтесь российским.
we are attacked every day all night.